Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. Hope you are well and staying safe. We're now in Proverbs chapter 19. And Solomon kind of shifts a little bit from righteousness and unrighteousness and good and evil, and he begins to talk about life and contact. So basically, we're looking at a lot of generalizations that are put together. Verse 2 of chapter 19. Also, it is not good for a person to be without knowledge. And he who hurries his footsteps errs. Boy, that's a really common sense statement. It is not good for a person not to have knowledge. It's something we need to go after. It's something we truly need to seek. And be cautious. Don't be in such a rush. Don't be in such a hurry. Sometimes we need to take things rather slowly because hurrying into a situation may really get us in trouble. Well, verse 5, a false witness will not go unpunished, and he who tells lies will not escape. You know, I read a thing recently that if liar, liar, pants on fire were true, that politics would be a whole lot more interesting. But sadly, politics are not the only place where people are untruthful. It's in business, it's in religion, it can be in so many different places. And notice the person who tells untruths, the person who lies, will not go unpunished. Moving on, verse 11. A man's discretion makes him slow to anger, and it is his glory to overlook a transgression. Oh, we need a lot of this in our world today. We need to be slow to anger. There is way too much anger in our world today. And we need people that stop, think, slow down, and don't allow little minor inconveniences to cause them to explode in anger. And then, of course, there are just times we have to overlook other people. But let's remember something. I'm sure there are times in our lives that other people have to overlook what we do. And we want that favor. So maybe we should give that favor more often. 14. A house and wealth that are an inheritance from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. You know, I wish more people in our world today looked at their spouses as a gift from God. Looked at their spouses as being somebody really special. Boy, that would change the circumstances in a whole lot of marriages. And I think it would cause a whole lot of marriages to be saved. A good person, and isn't that who we think we're marrying? They are a gift from God, just like children are a heritage from the Lord, as the psalmist says. And people need to be thankful for their spouse. And I think if we learn to be more thankful for our spouses, obviously we're going to appreciate them ever so much more. The next verse, 15, laziness casts into a deep sleep, and an idle man will suffer hunger. Laziness is a bad thing. People are expected by God to work, to be active, to do things. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes, people who are lazy really get themselves in trouble, though they may want to blame someone else. Verse 16, He who keeps the commandment keeps his soul, but he who is careless of conduct will die. God didn't give us his instructions to simply show us what he can do. God gave us his instructions so hopefully we would be wise enough and smart enough to follow them, to listen to them, to walk in the pathway he wants us to walk. That's why he gave us his word, not an exercise in I can do this, but to give us guidance, to give us instruction. And so when we do as God says do, when we live as God says live, it is good for our souls. It's to our benefit. And if we live careless lives, it's going to catch up with us. Verse 17, one who is gracious to a poor man lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his good deed. And many, many times in the law, in the prophets, throughout the Old Testament and into the New, it is emphasized that we look out for those who are less fortunate. Now, having looked at verse 15, probably Solomon here is speaking to the fact of those who cannot help their situation. And there are many who are poor, who cannot help they're in that situation. It's not they did something wrong. It's just the circumstances in which they can find themselves. And God takes it very personally. Read Jesus in Matthew chapter 25 and his criteria for judgment. If you did not do it to one of the least of these who are mine, you didn't do it to me. God takes our caring for those less fortunate very personally. It's as if we were doing it for him specifically. And Jesus taught us that very, very clearly. So we need to. Verse 18, discipline your son while there is hope, and do not desire his death. Children need guidance. Children need discipline. We're seeing the results of a generation that tried to raise children without any kind of discipline in their lives, and they're going crazy. They're doing all kinds of evil and wicked things, and it's because they have no self-discipline. Children have to be taught that there are things that are right and there are things that are wrong, and there are blessings for doing what's right, and there are consequences for doing what is wrong. And our world cries out with a great need for parents being parents, not parents just being friends, but parents being parents. And I would add to that, parents being parents of the Lord for their children. And then 23, the fear of the Lord leads to life, so that one may sleep satisfied, untouched by evil. Now again, fear of the Lord is one of the themes that we keep encountering here in the book of Proverbs. And that proper reverence of God does lead to life, because we want to do what he wants. We want to do what's right. We want to do what's pleasing to him. And people who do what he wants, what's right, and what is pleasing to God are the ones that are walking toward eternal life. And so, fear God. Respect him. Put him in his proper place in your life. And you'll never, never regret it.